Good evening, everyone. We're going to start the Finance and Purchasing Committee meeting for Monday, November 20th, 2023. The time is now 6:15. Roll call, please.
Alderman Bolton.
Present.
Alderman Guzman.
Present.
Alderman Hayes.
Present.
Alderman Florian.
Present.
Alderman Guzman. Alderman Newsom.
Present. We have a quorum. Item C, approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from October 16th, 2023?
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Hayes, second by Alderman Florian. Are there any questions to this motion? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Motion carried. Item D, public comment. Is there anyone that wants to speak on anything on the agenda tonight? Being none, we'll move on to new business. Item A, an ordinance amending Section 18-43 of the Code of Ordinances regarding vacation of city-owned property. The City of Waukegan previously adopted Section 18-43 of the city's Code of Ordinances governing the vacation of streets or alleys under the jurisdiction of the city. Section 18-43, which was adopted pursuant to the city's home rule authority, deviates from the provisions of the Illinois Municipal Code regarding vacations in various ways. 65 ILCS 5/11-91-1 ETSCQ. Most significantly, Section 18-43 allows for the vacation of public right-of-ways based on the affirmative vote of a majority of the alderpersons holding office, rather than the statutory requirements of 3/4 of the governing body. The city often receives requests from property owners to vacate unimproved right-of-ways adjacent to their property. To ensure flexibility and clarity in the vacation process, city staff recommends that the city amend Section 18-43 to bring it into conformance with the requirements of the state vacation law. Can I get a motion?
I so move.
Motion by Alderman Bolton. Second.
Second.
Second by Alderman Florian. Are there any questions to this motion? Do everyone understand what we're doing? Alderman Florian?
I believe I understand this, but I'd like some more clarification from Attorney Weiss.
Yes, a number of years ago, the city adopted a different procedure for vacating rights-of-way. And when we talk about vacation of rights-of-way, what it means is that there are streets and alleys that are under the jurisdiction of the city. The city is responsible for, it is the city's property. And there is a process under Illinois state law as to the different ways that these streets and alleys, if they're not improved, if they're not used by the city, can be vacated. And by vacated basically means returned to the adjacent property owners. And so the Illinois statute says that they can be vacated proportionally to the people next to them, to the adjacent landowners. They can also be vacated to a single landowner that is adjacent to it if proper compensation is provided. A number of years ago, the City of Waukegan adopted through its home rule authority is a kind of a higher level of authority that communities that have populations over 35,000 have, to kind of to create its own procedure for vacating rights of way. And one of the things that is a little bit unclear in the city's own procedure is, thank you for the soundtrack. No, it made it feel much more dramatic. And so we want to clarify and give the city the most flexibility possible, that the city council can make a determination whether a right-of-way should be basically deeded back to each of the landowners that abut it, or if it can be given to a single one, so long as proper compensation is being paid. What this ordinance does is it basically adds in the flexibility that is already in the state statute and gives the city council a little bit more discretion in that respect.
Thank you.
If there's any more questions, roll call, please.
Alderman Hayes,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Newsom,
Aye.
Alderman Bolton,
Aye.
Alderman Guzman.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item B, resolution authorizing amendment to the lobbyist agreement with Cornerstone Government Affairs, Inc. for a 2-year contract extension. Staff recommends that the City Council adopt a resolution approving the extension of the agreement with Cornerstone Government Affairs, Inc., and that will go until the agreement is extended till December 31st, 2025. Can I get a motion on the floor?
I so move.
Seconded.
Motion by Alderman Bolton, second by Alderman Hayes. Are there any questions to this motion?
I have something.
Alderman Bolton?
Yeah, I just want to express I appreciate how they were so thorough in their presentation and explaining each item on there, and it was well put together. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Bolton,
Aye.
Alderman Guzman,
Aye.
Alderman Newsom,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item C, a resolution approving a letter of understanding with the Service Employees International Union, SEIU Local 73, regarding a special stay agreement for public safety dispatchers. Can I get a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Florian,
Seconded.
second by Alderman Hayes. Are there any questions to this motion?
I have just a question.
Alderman Bolton?
I understand in the presentation there's a question in reference to consolidation for the dispatchers. Can someone elaborate?
Well, but I can provide a little bit of context on why this is necessary. And Chief of Staff Bridges can also jump in. There is an exploratory group right now that is considering creating a consolidated emergency dispatch for Lake County. This is happening in a number of counties. The state is pushing for emergency dispatch to move from something that is done on a local basis to being done on a regional basis. And more smaller dispatch centers are closing down, and you're seeing a migration towards regional dispatch centers like NORCOM and DUCOM and other ones that are made up of a number of different communities. Lake County is exploring this. The Lake County Sheriff's Office is heading up this exploratory effort. And so the purpose of this agreement is that in the event that a consolidation occurs, that the dispatchers who work for the city of Waukegan will receive an extra incentive to stay with the city until such time as we are ready to move over. Dispatchers are extremely hard to hire right now. They are in demand, and if anyone who is working as a dispatcher, if they want to leave their current job, there's 5 offers out there. So one of the efforts was to ensure that there is never any interruption in service or in level of service from our dispatch center, that this was a necessary agreement to enter into with the union to ensure that was the case. Did I sum that up?
Absolutely, great job. And your chief of the fire department, Greg Pazer, and Police Chief Edgar Navarro, and Director Guzman, and our Alderwoman Newsom have been a part of some of these meetings. The one thing I want to clarify that our attorney did not state is that this has no effect on us having to go to consolidation. If we choose not to consolidate or to consolidate, this just gives us time, as again, to maintain and retain the dispatchers that we do have.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Bolton.
Aye.
Alderman Guzman.
Aye.
Alderman Newsom.
Aye.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item D, an ordinance amending the City of Waukegan's annual budget for the fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2023, and establishing an appropriation policy for ground emergency medical transportation program funds. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Bolton, second by Alderman Hayes. Staff recommends the City Council approve an ordinance amending the City of Waukegan's annual budget for the fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2023, and establishing an appropriation policy for ground emergency medical transportation program funds. Are there any questions? Alderman Guzman?
Okay, so I had a couple questions when we were going through this. Did you ever find out if we can appropriate more funds to different, like I was speaking to you about?
Yes, I did look into it. I had a conversation with the mayor and our attorney, and again, I was directed towards the RAP meetings that you all had. That is the more appropriate place for that to happen, instead of with the GEMT funds, but the casino and the dispensary funds is the more appropriate route, is the direction that I got.
My question is, can it be directed towards the way I wanted it to be or not?
Towards infrastructure, you are legislators, you could do whatever, you can bring that up for vote. I'll give that to Stu.
So just to be clear about kind of what the narrow aspect of this ordinance is, and then we can talk about what your question is the GEMT funds are a specific reimbursement program that is paid for by the federal government out of Medicaid. It's administered by the state, and it ensures that for ambulance runs for patients that receive Medicaid, that the city receives full reimbursement. As you can imagine, when someone is transported by our fire department to a hospital and they have health insurance, the insurance company will pay for it. Given the economic profile of a number of the folks who are serviced in Waukegan by our fire department, we have a large percentage of transports who only have Medicaid as their health insurance. By participating in the GMET program, it ensured that the city was not taking on the cost of these transports and disproportionately bearing the cost of these. So what this ordinance does is it says that, and we've been participating in this program since, Chief of Staff, said 2017 or 2019? 2019. And Chief Pazer can talk about a little bit more about it. But the idea is that now that these funds have been coming in, that the City Council would establish an actual policy that these funds would be used specifically for the replacement schedule of vehicles used by the fire department as part of these transport and part of these response. And so that would include ambulances and engines.
And I'm sorry, Alderman, that was another part, that was another question I had to give to the chief, was about the replacement schedule, and he said he'd come and be able to speak more on that also, if you wanted that.
Okay, so my issue isn't about the $300,000 going to the replacement of ambulance or equipment. That's not the issue. Okay, so it was estimated at around $2 million, what I was told. So what I basically was wondering if either because, okay, so since it's $2 million, so $300,000 would go for replacement. I figured another $200,000 could stay with the fire, and they could move it around for infrastructure needs, so they won't have to come up and every so often to ask for money for infrastructure. There, you got $200,000 for any fire house to do whatever's needed on an infrastructure basis. And then I would also see another $500,000 of that and make it a cool 500,000 and go and move that to police and fire pensions to get closer to our goal of 20. Well, I think it was 2050 to become 80% funded, if I remember correct.
2040?
2040, and then the other $1 million would go into the general fund.
That would be a astute question for advisement on that.
Yeah. So one of the things that I would say is that even with the ordinance as written, that it is strictly kind of a statement of policy. You cannot formally appropriate beyond the current fiscal year. So one of the things that we wanted to do by this ordinance was there are two things that would actually become legally effective right now, which was changing the fund name and doing a budget amendment to put $300,000 from this year's budget from the general fund into the fire training and apparatus fund. For future years, this is more of just a policy statement. So could that policy statement be amended in the way that Alderman Guzman is suggesting? Yes, it could, if there's a consensus. Keep in mind that this is a statement that is kind of just a guiding principle. And every year when you vote on the appropriation and the budget, you would make a decision whether or not to abide by that, which is a legislative determination that you make every single year.
That's why I wanted to put this in there. So basically wait until budget comes in there so it won't be moved around, and just for that purposes, because it seems like sometimes there's money coming in and then it's appropriated for one thing and then they grab the money and move it to somewhere else. I wanted actually to go to, like I said, try to get closer to the pension by 2040, get a little closer to it, add 500,000 to that, and the $200,000 for infrastructure for all fire buildings.
Is that something that we can discuss at a committee of the whole? Because this amendment is for this budget.
Yes. No, I mean, we can wait until May or whenever April, I'm sorry, and put it in that, but I would really like the writing in there.
Okay, that's something I think that we can put into the committee of the whole. Is that okay with the other aldermen? Discussion regarding that? And it's my understanding if these funds don't come in, then they don't get put into this line.
That's correct. The way this is written is that it says that the first 300,000 that are actually received would be put into this, into the fire training and apparatus fund. Any funds received above that would be put into the general fund, or if Alderman Guzman, what he is proposing, if the city council decides to adopt that, there would kind of be a waterfall of the funds. But all of that is completely contingent upon actually receiving the funds. And, you know, if the federal government decides to end this program, or if they want to reduce the amount of the actual reimbursement, it's all based on what actually comes in. It's not a guaranteed appropriation.
Understood.
And is the money, how much have we gotten so far? Do we know on this?
Don has that figure. Oh, you had that.
Has it just been going into the general fund?
Yes, ma'am, general fund, and so far, Don, I'm going to take a stab here and say upwards of 5 or 6 million.
Please remember that 50% goes, oh, I know that's above and beyond, but 50% goes to the state. So for every dollar we get, 50 cents goes to the state.
Correct.
But that is up above and beyond. That was, the chief just stated, that's our portion, City of Waukegan's portion.
Correct.
From this.
So we can move this forward and then amend it in April to make the changes. Because like I said, we need to get a little closer for these pension funds, for these police and fire.
Okay, I'd like to add that to the committee of the whole. I believe that we have December 11th for discussion, because I think all the other aldermen need to be a part of the decision that we make. So if we can add this item, appreciate it. Any other questions regarding this? Roll call, please.
Alderman Bolton,
Aye.
Alderman Guzman,
Aye.
Alderman Newsom,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carried. Item E, an ordinance levying and assessing taxes of the city of Waukegan, Lake County, Illinois, for the 2023 tax year levy. Can I get a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion by Alderman Florian, second by Alderman Hayes. Are there any questions to this motion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Bolton,
Aye.
Alderman Guzman,
Aye.
Alderman Newsom,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item F, an ordinance abating in full the sum of $278,000 due in payment of principal and interest on the $7,005,000 general obligation bond, Series 2015A of the city of Waukegan. Can I get a motion on the floor?
So moved.
I second.
Motion by Alderman Florian, second by Alderman Bolton. Are there any questions to this motion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Bolton, Alderman Guzman,
Aye.
Alderman Newsom,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item G, an ordinance abating in full the sum of $671,000 due in payment of principal and interest on the $6,850,000 general obligation bond, Series 2016A of the city of Waukegan. Can I get a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Florian, second by Alderman Bolton. Any questions to this motion?
Can I just
Alderman
ask Don
Florian.
a question? Yeah, thank you. So Don, this bond was taken out in 2016 for $7 million, right? And it was for street improvement, correct? And can you tell me how much we ended up paying in total for this? Well, it's the principal plus interest, correct? And so this now pays this off in full, correct? Okay. Okay, so we still have more principal and interest to pay going forward.
At the end of this year, we will have $82 million in outstanding.
I apologize. Can you speak in the mic, please?
At the end of this fiscal year, we'll have $82,660,000 in outstanding bonded debt. Of that, we will abate, that is, we'll identify sources other than property taxes to pay off $58 million, or 70% of the debt will be paid off by sources other than property taxes. This year alone, we'll be paying off $8 million in debt, $5 million sources other than property taxes, a little over 60%. So you can see, we'll be paying off debt until the year, I think it's 2037. 70% of that will never see the tax rolls. It'll be paid off by home rule sales taxes and by the McGaw Park TIF.
Right, but my point is, when we borrow money to pave roads, it costs us more than the face value of the loan, the bond. And if it's a bond that takes us 30 years to pay off, we're going to be paving that road again before the bond is paid off, correct? Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Any other questions?
Ordinarily, our GO bonds have gone out for 15 years. They're doing for streets last 10 years. So you're paying them for a longer period of time than the street lasts.
Yeah, 15. Any other questions? Roll call.
Alderman Bolton,
Aye.
Alderman Guzman,
Aye.
Alderman Newsom,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item H, an ordinance abating in full the sum of $1,067,100 due in payment in principal and interest on the $14,860,000 general obligation bond, Series 2018A of the city of Waukegan. Can I get a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Florian, second.
Seconded.
Second by Alderman Hayes. Any questions to this motion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Bolton.
Aye.
Alderman Guzman.
Aye.
Alderman Newsom.
Aye.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item I, an ordinance abating in full the sum of $1,003,600 due in payment in principal and interest on the $12,815,000 general obligation bond series 2021 A McGaw Park TIF project. Can I get a motion on the floor?
I so moved. My second.
Motion by Alderman Florian, second by Alderman Bolton. Any questions to this motion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Bolton.
Aye.
Alderman Guzman.
Aye.
Alderman Newsom.
Aye.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item J, an ordinance abating in full the sum of $1,998,330 due in payment of principal and interest on the $31,180,000 taxable general obligation bond, Series 2021B, McGaw Park TIF project. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Florian,
Seconded.
second by Alderman Hayes. Are there any questions to this motion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Bolton.
Aye.
Alderman Guzman.
Aye.
Alderman Newsom.
Aye.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item K, a resolution authorizing the procurement of ballistic vest from Ray O'Haron Company, Inc. Can I get a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Hayes,
Second.
second by Alderman Florian. The Waukegan Police Department is seeking the approval to accept the request for proposals RFP response from Ray O'Haron Company, Inc. for the purpose of entering into a 36-month agreement to purchase ballistic vests. The agreement with Ray O'Haron Company, Inc. is to purchase ballistic vests for our police officers. Vests would be purchased annually for existing police officers and as needed for new hire officers. Purchases made for existing police officers will be made on a 5-year cycle. This 5-year cycle coincides with the product warranty period provided by most ballistic vest manufacturers, as well as the time period allowed for by the Bulletproof Vest Partnership grant currently being received. The BVP grant allows for reimbursement of up to half the cost of the purchase of a new ballistic vest, with the remaining balance paid by the city. We average approximately 35 vest purchases a year. Can I have a motion on the floor. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Bolton.
Aye.
Alderman Guzman.
Aye.
Alderman Newsom.
Aye.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item L, a resolution authorizing a good faith waiver and approving the procurement of office furniture for various departments of the city of Waukegan from Rework LLC. Can I get a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Florian,
Seconded.
second by Alderman Hayes. Are there any questions to this motion? Since April 2023, the city has taken strides to improve outdated workstations for their employees. To date, updated ergonomic desks and chairs have been installed in the water billing department, the city clerk's office, and risk management. The updated furniture will help alleviate long-term range of motion issues for staff and assist with bolstering employee productivity. To continue with this project, we are asking for new workstations for the remaining city hall departments and the water department. The current workstations original to the building and, The current workstations original to the building and now over 2 decades old are showing signs of wear and tear, impacting both the comfort and efficiency of our staff. The proposed ergonomic workstations equipped with sit and stand functions aim to address these concerns by providing adaptable and health-conscious workspaces. Sit and stand functions will afford the employee the ability to adjust the desk to the correct height for their own body. Funding for this initiative is available in both the capital fund and the water and sewer fund, and the estimated cost, total cost of $395,000 aligns with our budgetary allocations. Funding for the workstations in City Hall will be charged to line item 307-130726368, and funding for the workstations for the water plant will be charged to line item 555-9155-26498. Are there any questions?
I have a question. I'm understanding
Alderman
instead of,
Bolton.
thank you. Instead, this is done by project, Chief? Can you elaborate? So instead of done by individual contracts, it's done as a group project?
Yes. Prior to us approving the last purchasing policy that you just approved, this was something that you all had requested. It has changed from per vendor to per project. So what you had asked us to do is that when we do go out and have a project that we're going to do in any one department, that we try to combine them. So that's what happened. They wanted to get the furniture done in a few more offices. You have already approved some of the offices prior to the purchasing policy being changed. So once this one came up, Bob, our risk manager, sat with finance. They reached out to all the different departments, asked everyone who is in need of having their material changed out, and that is what we came to, just to follow what we had stated to you with the purchasing policy. By project, we don't want to do multiple bids from the same vendor if we can get one bid for the same type of project.
Now, I understand this was updated, what, 30 years ago or something like that?
We just updated with the purchasing policy. This is the first time that you have approved a purchasing policy. Prior to this, it was just an internal policy. Is that correct, Finance? It was just an internal policy, and after consulting with the mayor and the attorneys, you approved the first purchasing policy.
Furniture, some of it
Oh, I'm
hasn't been
sorry.
replaced since,
30 years.
Maybe
Correct.
that's what I was hearing on the
yeah.
recording.
Correct. Hasn't been approved since the building was built.
When was that?
2004?
Oh.
2003, 4, yeah. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Bolton.
Aye.
Alderman Guzman.
Aye.
Alderman Newsome.
Aye.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Next, item 3 is reports and communications. We have, does anybody have any questions on our reports, items? We have a little sheet from the finance director as well. So if there's not any questions, can I take a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion by Alderman Florian, second by Alderman Guzman to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned at 6:49. Thank you.